After 60 years in business, you'd think all Denny's restaurants around the country would know how to keep food safe, but that's not true for one Bay Area location, repeatedly checked by inspectors for roaches crawling around the food.
Like 4 or 5 times a month. We come a lot. We love Denny's. My kids love Denny's.
Queen A. George loves this Denny's so much on East Fowler Avenue in Tampa, she comes back again and again, especially for the freebies.
And that food at dangerous temperatures. This 24/7 diner is tonight's Dirty Dining Report.
Some family restaurants look like safe ground for your squad, but once you sit down, you realize you've walked into an ambush. Sticky menus, rubbery eggs, and deals that cost more than they save.
Then they got the little free kids on Tuesdays. They eat free on Tuesdays, stuff like that, so we bring them here.
But Denny's meals, available 24/7, were prepared in the same kitchen alongside live roaches, crawling around on the cook's line, server station, and front counter.
They were repeat violations. You've had issues with roaches before.
I just started with the companies a week ago.
But inspectors didn't just start finding the problems now. Roaches were crawling in the kitchen last year, too.
That's all been taken care of.
Eddie Arizaga introduced himself as the new general manager.
You had roaches and temperature issues.
Not anymore.
Arizaga defended the restaurant, but didn't know much about the recent food safety issues or the state's repeated warnings to clean up.
But here's the mission: not all have collapsed. 2 of them still hold their ground like fortified positions while the rest crumble like abandoned outposts. The question is, do you know which ones keep the line solid for your family, and which ones you should avoid like a minefield? Stay sharp, because by the end, you'll see the battlefield of family dining very differently. Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So, did you click the subscribe button? Great! Thank you so much. Now, back to the video.
And over the last year and a half, dozens of repeat food temperature violations that could make customers sick, including breakfast ingredients like eggs, pancake batter, cheese, ham, turkey, and butter.
Kitchen is clean.
Yeah.
And this dedicated Denny's customer does too.
Would you come back, Queen?
Yes, I would.
So you didn't know anything about the previous inspections either?
No, man, no.
And even with 96 violations written up from January 2013 to June 2014, Arizaga feels confident now about his restaurant.
Now, I spoke on the phone with Chris Wicks, Director of Operations for Denny's, and he sent me a written statement which reads in part, quote, "We are disappointed by the situation that took place at our Tampa location and work diligently with the health department and outside vendors to rectify the problem."
What happens when your unit marches expecting comfort food but is met with undercooked rations and hollow promises? You thought you were heading to a safe zone, a reliable front line of family dining. Instead, you find improvised defenses, broken supply lines, and morale already collapsing by the time the menus hit the table. The setting looks familiar: booths lined like sandbags, laminated pages promising abundance.
For this week, the Golden Corral on Blanding Boulevard was cited with 8 high-priority violations. An inspector found moldy potatoes and peppers in the walk-in cooler, so they had to throw those out of there. 10 flies were in the kitchen, buzzing. Golden Corral is now in the clear. An inspector came back the very next day for a re-inspection, only finding 1 serious violation. There was raw shrimp was stored over open cookies. Cross-contamination an issue here. Also, raw bacon was stored over deli ham, and that is also something that could get people sick if some of that juice dripped onto the ham.
But once the first dish arrives, the illusion is shattered. This is the story of how the old American family chains lost their ground. These were once solid staging areas for Sunday nights, road trip breaks, even midweek calories to keep the squad moving. They promised consistency, no matter what town, the same plate, the same price, the same comfort. Now, you see the remains of those battlements: Applebee's, Denny's, IHOP, Outposts still standing in shape but hollow in execution.
How about all-you-can-eat Applebee's? Seems too good to be true, but they're offering a new deal this January for all-you-can-eat chicken fingers or riblets for only $12.99 for the month of January. So you know they did those dollar drink deals. Now they're doing $2 Blue Moons that you can go with your all-you-can-eat. And it's not too good to be true. I went this weekend. It's there. This is the menu. I took a photo of it. Nothing else required. You order it and you can get free refills for your time there at Applebee's. And if you're sitting and get a little thirsty, you can also get $2 Blue Moons.
Walk into Applebee's today. The table feels tacky before you sit down, menus laminated but worn like gear that hasn't been replaced in years. The lights glare on booths that have seen too many battles. You order the deal of the day, maybe a stacked burger combo. It arrives an oily approximation of the ad photo, fries limp like undertrained recruits. The price looks low, but then the upsell starts. Drinks at full freight, appetizers that sneak past the radar, desserts tucked like mines in a field. By the end, the so-called savings are gone, replaced by an inflated ticket that has no tactical sense. At Denny's, the weapons cache is eggs and bacon. It should be basic, protein, salt, heat. Reliable. But crack open the shell and you find rubbery yolks, edges that chew like ration packs past expiration. The pancakes soak up syrup, yet the bite delivers only sponge and starch, not morale. Memory tells you this should be comfort food at arm's reach, the kind you grabbed after a late-night operation, but the current offering is stripped of precision. IHOP pulls a different maneuver, oversized artillery pieces in the form of plate-wide pancakes. They look fearsome on arrival, like a heavy tank pulling onto the battlefield. But then you cut in, and you realize, no armor, no firepower, just bulk. Flavor so weak it cannot hold the line. The inch-thick stack is impressive on the table, but halfway through, every bite feels like filler rations packed to stretch calories, not to win hearts. Customers judge the value of these meals the same way any unit judges logistics. Price matters, but consistency matters more. A squad will return to a location if it provides the same reliable pack every time. Break that pattern, switch quality from good one day to poor the next, and you lose trust. These chains fail not because they are cheapest or most expensive, but because they overpromise stability and underdeliver on the basic strikes of flavor, texture, and service. Shoney's once held ground with its buffet line. The image was abundance, plates always refilled, the morale boost of endless choice. But the longer you study, the faster you see the supply chain collapse. Heat lamps glare over trays that stand still too long. Chicken dries into brittle strips, soup forms a skin at the surface, desserts sag under fluorescent bulbs. You fill your plate, but each bite carries less satisfaction, and with it, troop morale declines. Ruby Tuesday's salad bar presents itself as a tactical outpost, a fresh start, a shield wall of greens. Yet upkeep is poor, ingredients scattered or wilting, dressings clumped at the base. What should be a forward base of crisp supplies turns into a neglected sector, more liability than strength. Golden Corral tries volume warfare. Mountains of meat, oceans of sides, more options than you could cycle through in one sortie. But it's not coordinated fire, it's saturation without accuracy. How much ground does volume hold if the target is missed with every shot? Families walk in excited, then walk out sluggish, weighed down by too much supply with too little satisfaction.